ahead and start that. And we should be good, so I will cue up the theme song and we will get started. Although it would also help if I actually have my show notes up. Because my memory is terrible.
Same. I always have to pull up the Facebook chat before we start these things.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, same here.
All right. So, hitting the theme song. 3, 2, 1. I keep forgetting I rearranged these buttons. I don't know where it is.
Okay. And here I was hoping to fuck it up somehow myself.
Oh, okay. Now I got it.
Leave this in.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Alternative Input, the only quarantine podcast on the internet. I am here with my two bestest friends in the whole wide world. To my left, the Sultan of Salt, the Ravager of the Dead. It's Walle.
That's vaguely racist.
Stop with the racist terms, Walle. And to my right, the king of the skies, the king of sky crimes, and known leader of the Birds Aren't Real movement, it's Chuck.
Yeah, you would think it would be kind of hypocritical or anything if I were to be a person of the sky and to also argue against the existence of birds. But really, when you look at the evidence and you go up there to experience it yourself, you don't really see those feathered fuckers anywhere. And so, yeah, I encourage you all to go up in there and see the evidence for yourself.
Follow the money.
Follow the map projections.
So I hate starting off all these podcasts with "Sorry, this person died," but I will play a short clip here just because I feel he will be sorely missed.
How does that feel?
This feels very comfortable.
You see?
I feel 10 years younger.
Yeah, and your posture's a lot better. Look at you.
And I can breathe easier, too.
I told you. Now, Frank, listen, here's what I'm thinking. Now, you have a friend in the bra business, right?
Of course, Sid Farkas. He's the best in the business.
Here's our chance. What do you say? It'll be me, you, and the bro. Let's do it!
Except we gotta do something about the name.
Why? What's wrong with bro?
No, bro's no good. Too ethnic.
All right, you got something better?
How about, the man's ear?
R.I.P.
I'm going to miss that man.
Miss that man very much. So actually, speaking of him, I saw a movie the other day that's a Disney movie that I have never seen in my life that was very funny, and it had him and his son Ben Stiller in it. And I actually couldn't believe how good it was.
What was it?
Have you guys ever seen the movie Heavyweights?
Never heard of it.
No.
So it's a Disney Channel original movie from, like, looking at the dates of it. It had to have been like late 80s, early 90s, something like that. And basically it's about like one of those like fat camps or whatever where you send the overweight kids and whatever. And so it goes bankrupt, and it's run by Jerry Stiller, and Ben Stiller plays this like money mogul and buys it purely to sell his like gym memberships and shit like that. And the character, I swear to God, is almost exactly his character from Dodgeball, just minus the parts where he's masturbating with pizza and with the car batteries hooked up to his nipples.
Neato.
I swear to God.
Look at.
It's almost the same character. It's incredible.
I'm looking at Google Images right now, and yeah, that's a fucking Disney Channel original movie if I've ever seen one.
And also, there's a weird amount of the Mighty Ducks cast in that movie too, like multiple years before they did that.
Huh.
It is fascinating. It was a really good watch. So for those of you with Disney Plus or an active Google searches, Heavyweights. It's a pretty good movie, actually.
I I have to admit, when I heard that Disney Plus was going to be a thing, I didn't think they'd have enough content to really justify an entire subscription service. But I failed to remember like their entire lineage of back catalog of original films and content like this.
Oh, it's insanely huge.
It is staggering.
If Universal did the same thing, which would be a smart thing to do, there would be no one stopping them. But for some reason, they choose not to.
Mm.
But or am I misremembering? Did Disney end up buying Universal?
Not that I can recall.
I don't think they have yet.
I was gonna say that's probably on a whiteboard somewhere in Disney HQ.
Oh right, the time traveler told me not to mention that for a few years. My bad.
Mm.
My bads.
Right next to buying Spotify and then buying Human Life.
So, guys, I don't know about you, but I actually have a fuck ton of games to talk about.
Same.
I've got a few.
Okay. Anybody want to go before me? I'd be happy to go.
Do it.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So, in terms of smaller things, before I get to one of my bigger games, I played a bit of Animal Crossing.
Ooh.
Good.
Didn't think you'd be the type.
I'm not.
So that's his review. Thank you very much.
I mean, I'm going to try my best to say other things, but so the main thing I'm going to say is by some weird comedy of errors, I ended up with a copy of Animal Crossing because I think Chuck, you ended up asking for a copy and forgot that you asked for a copy for Christmas. So you bought one anyway, and then Mom kept getting badgered with emails about Animal Crossing coming out, and then a copy showed up at her house.
I asked for one for Christmas and everything, but they didn't tell me that they got it for me at Christmas and everything, so I guess they thought it would just be a nice surprise. But then, the whole apocalypse thing happened. So yeah, we all just kind of forgot about it or didn't know about it. So yeah, I also bought a copy, but that was more for my girlfriend and everything. But so yeah, you got a free copy of Animal Crossing.
I did. I feel
how's
bad
that going?
that I am playing so much of it with kind of a scowl on my face. I don't know.
Just furiously buying turnips and picking weeds.
Well, because I'll admit I was very curious about. I hope my audio is not popping too much. By the way, I can't find my pop filter anywhere.
Sounds fine. I think.
Yeah, you sound fine to me.
Okay. Anyway, I was morbidly curious about my opinion of this game purely because I've clarified before the only Animal Crossing I have played otherwise was the original GameCube game, and I did play a lot of that game.
I have fond memories of that.
Same.
But I can't really verbalize what is different here. That's just really kind of not clicking for me. Like I don't think it's a bad game. I just, I don't know. If anything, I would almost say the original Animal Crossing, I remember feeling like aimless in a positive way. Like kind of, you could literally just do whatever the hell you want and it's fine. Whereas,
there was like a shockingly small amount of guidance in that game when you really look at it as a whole.
Yeah. You literally just get plopped in a sandbox and go, I don't know, do whatever. You can dig up trees, I guess. I don't care.
You can do part-time jobs for Tom Nook for like a couple of days, but even that doesn't last super long. And once that's gone, like you're on your own.
Yeah, whereas this game almost starts like a survival game and like tries to give you some fairly specific things to start out with, even though like to some degree I feel like it's not clear enough. Like I feel like there was a fair amount of time where I kind of really didn't understand what I was supposed to be doing. Even just to like let me give you an example here. Like I haven't gotten to the bridge yet, which as far as I understand is when the game kind of opens up, but I don't know, between the Nook miles and how to actually get cash, and like I just keep fishing and catching butterflies, and I don't really know if I'm actually progressing or not.
And loving all those puns on loop.
Is Manila your favorite flavor of clam?
Sea bass, that's at least a A minus, whatever the fuck the joke is.
I yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing where I think it's either the genre is just not for me anymore, or there's just something to the early game that is just really, really not clicking with me. But I don't know. It's not really my jam.
Well, I'm happy you tried it. And I'm sure that
Yeah.
other folks in your house can get some enjoyment out of it.
Surprisingly not.
Has anyone else tried it?
No.
Really?
My wife's reaction to
there
that
goes that.
was video games are for nerds, and then she punched me in the stomach and went back to watching Friends.
And then your son did the same thing.
And I was like, where'd my lunch money go? But yeah, so I mean, that was the thing. I'll keep plugging away at it a little bit. I do like that my fake GameCube controller seems to work fairly well with it, so I can at least pretend I'm playing the original Animal Crossing. But yeah, so that's the thing. I tried it. It just really didn't click for me.
And that's fair.
I'll take that copy if you don't mind and everything, since I gave mine to my girlfriend and everything.
Yeah, well, tell you what, I have this great deal going on for $59.99. It could be your
A whole cent off? Oh my god.
That's the family discount.
that is the family discount.
That copper could last me a whole week in the apocalypse. Can I pay you?
Another.
Oh wait, I was already paying you for the. That was a dumb joke I did. That was an even dumber joke than I thought I was doing.
Chuck.
That was Animal Crossing tier.
That one. Chuck, you and I have a game that we can speak briefly on, or at least me briefly. Disaster Report 4: Summer Memories.
I didn't know if we were going to get to this now or later, but yeah. What is your experience with the Disaster Report series?
That game we played for the PS2 for an old video that I forget the name of. That I don't know if it is directly affiliated with Disaster Report.
Hang on, keep talking and discuss this thing. One sec.
So, it's been a while since I have played a game that is trying so hard to pretend it is a AAA video game and is so very, very clearly not. In that the beginning of the game, you're riding in a bus right before a major earthquake happens in, I forget what part of Japan. I want to say Morio, but that might not even be real. But anyway, but yeah, you start out in that, and as you're riding around in the bus, you can see random pedestrians out the window that are literally not animated and not moving. Suspended in it. They're suspended by a worldo, and you don't realize that the bus is an enemy stand, is what I'm saying.
Before you continue, I just wanted to double check this, and yeah, I literally had that thing on my shelf right here in front of me. It was called Raw Danger.
Okay, yeah.
Raw Danger.
Does that have anything to do with them?
Yeah, I just looked it up. The Japanese title was The Desperate City 2: Frozen Memories.
Is this Silent Hill?
That's amazing. Why didn't they stick with that title? It's the same problem with Judge Eyes.
It's the sequel to the original Disaster Report. So yeah, I guess it is just like a rebranding of the Disaster Report series. So yeah, we played like an hour of that. I don't think we got very far.
I think we played like 2 hours.
It seemed fine from what we saw.
We had a fun time laughing at that game, actually.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Anyway, but please continue.
So yeah, Disaster Report 4 is an incredibly confusing game in that, like, it starts like a Dark Souls game in that you literally just get plopped at the end of a hallway and nothing interacts with you and nothing tells you what to do or what the controls are or what you're doing. Go ahead.
I feel as though that gives you kind of like a bad first impression of what kind of game that's going to be.
Well,
so that sort of thing kind of implies like a lot of freedom and like exploration and decision making, and that's not what that thing is.
It sure isn't, and it's also, it was one of those things where like it almost put me on edge at first because I was almost like, okay, is this game actually like packing something? Is it actually going to surprise me? And 40 minutes into that experience, that was definitely a no.
No.
Yeah, man, there is a lot of that game that just screams jank in that, like, you go from walking to holding the run animation and she goes 0 to 75 in zero point 0.0 seconds. I think she might actually be the Flash. She might have a quirk, actually, that they haven't discussed until a later chapter.
It's actually
Or
the
she's an
marketing
enemy stand
campaign.
user.
Yeah, it's an enemy. It's crazy talk is hanging around in the background somewhere. But yeah, it's just very confusing. So since I haven't really described what the hell the game is, it's a third person kind of
Action adventure
exploration game where you kind of wander around, you go down one hallway and you go, maybe it's this way, and then the floor falls in a canned animation with not a lot of people reacting, and the game goes, no, not that way, and then you go another way and the game goes, no, not that way. And then eventually you just start talking to every random NPC you can find to try and figure out what to do. And I will say there's a character customizer at the beginning of the game, and I do appreciate that they were either too quick on the release or lazy enough that they didn't change the dialogue for whether you pick a man or a woman. So when I ran into Japanese school teacher, one of my dialogue options as a woman was, oh, she's really cute. She's just my type. I should help her find her missing students. Even though the option just above it was, I should help her. This woman. So you get to
Both
pick
are
your
helping.
motivations for why you're helping.
And like that feels weird, but I kind of genuinely like that kind of character definition and everything when creating a character and like role playing and everything.
No,
I just wish.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just kind of wish it was more in depth and or in a better game.
Yeah, basically, because you know that part did provide some entertainment in that I got to RP as what did I name my character? Goblin Seaman. Goblin Seaman was on her way from the small town to the big city for her interview at McDonald's to turn her life around, and in the meantime, she's trying to get laid with this hot school teacher.
As one does.
As one does. More power to you, girl. Live your best life. Anyway, so yeah, that game is weird because it is so incredibly aimless, and in some cases the puzzles are talk to exactly this one specific NPC that otherwise you wouldn't pay attention to, and give her the correct sequence of responses. So she gives you a key that you can open a door and then save this one other lady, and then you can progress.
Oh no, it's Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah, I guess. Minus the poison mechanic, or at least I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, it's a weird game. It's a weird, silly little game. And I was like, and at one point I was like, well, okay, so this isn't screaming quality to me. Maybe the game itself will work pretty well as just a general disaster PSA of this is what you should do when a fucking horrible earthquake happens and shit like that. But boy, that sure is not the case either.
When a building is collapsing around you, just hug the ground.
Just hug the ground, walk very slowly underneath a building that is leaning against another building, stand in the middle of crumbling buildings to take pictures out of a second floor window. This game taught me a lot, especially when, at least in that opening area, there just seems to be a cycle of about 10 minutes and then just another aftershock happens and you have to crouch to the ground. And so this is happening even with NPCs that are just standing in buildings. Which, as a note, kids, don't stand in a giant building when a major earthquake happens. Literal death witch. But whatever. So yeah, summer memories. Disaster Report 4.
Disaster Report 4.
Personally, not really sticking. Not personally.
Yeah.
I might stick
Same.
with it for another minute, or I might stick with it for another hour just to see if it gets any weirder. But yeah, personally, I feel confident saying that's a shitty game. Do you have any other thoughts, Chuck?
No, it's about the same. About the same. Where did you leave off in that thing? Like, I had just finished being a convenience store worker and everything for a bit.
I stopped a little bit before that.
Oh boy. Well, you have fun then.
Oh boy. So anyway,
Any other games, Doug?
let's see. I do have one other that would curtail us into a news story. So I think I'll actually personally vote one of you goes next. I will say real quick, in case anybody needs a good anime to binge, Demon Slayer is really good. Animation is top notch. The story is the most 3 out of 5 nothing special I think I've ever seen. But the pacing and the animation and the art direction, I think, definitely hold it up in a way that definitely makes me care about that less, because the production really is like impressive. It really reminds me of another attempt at making Bleach, or it reminds me of a more action-packed like Mushishi, if that rings any bells for anybody.
I love that series.
So like that, but people swinging swords at each other. It's very episodic in that way.
How long is it?
24 episodes, I think. 26.
Will there be more of it, or is it basically over?
They are making a movie currently and then moving on to another season. That being said, it's probably going to be a short series anyway, since I think the author's at like 200 chapters or something like that, and he recently said that that he's going to be bringing the series to a close soon. So, and this recommendation is probably going to fall on deaf ears, but for what it's worth, there's a really adorable anime called How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? That is very empowering and very cute, and I enjoyed watching it. It's a 12
where could I find it?
Crunchyroll, Funimation.com, wherever. It's just a little 12-episode series about a high school girl that gets body image issues and accidentally joins a gym for like world-class weight builders. And so hilarity ensues, and in the meantime, once an episode, there's always a corrective lesson on how to exercise with proper form and not harm yourself.
Ooh.
It's cute.
I had an idea for an anime like that and everything, so I want to see that.
You should sue them.
This was in my brain palace, and you stole it from me, sir.
You just go in there and you see the calling card.
Oh, we'll get to that.
But anyway, yeah, someone else is welcome to go now.
Well, you have a preference?
I can go next. It's going to be a lot of stuff I've already talked about, just getting more in depth.
Woo!
So, I've played a lot of Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Whoop whoop.
Town is coming together rather nicely. I'm on the last house payment, which is, well, kind of superfluous since it's the last house payment and the work's already been done.
You get
so I can just save my
that?
$2.5 million.
You might get a statue, maybe, if previous games hold true.
Maybe, but I'm also not the primary player on my island. So I don't know if that's going to influence anything.
The other player gets another trophy.
Been doing a lot of work on like flower hybrids and filling out the museum and stuff like that. Hybrids are hard to start, but once you get them and it starts raining a lot, they just start sprouting everywhere.
I heard the system is pretty nuts in this game.
Oh yeah, it's a whole like Punnett square of cross this flower with this flower to get this hybrid, and then hybrids can cross to make other hybrids, and it really applies to the geneticist in me.
Sick. Are you time traveling in the game?
No, we do not time travel on our island. The only time that happens is if I didn't play before work, because I work 1:30 to midnight, which is the majority of everything I can do.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm.
But other than that, it's mostly just starting it up and seeing if Crazy Red's there because I want some haunted fake artwork.
Wally, I have a serious question for you. Have you
I might have a serious answer.
have you joined any of this creepy Reddit selling of villagers black market that I have seen online?
I was going to get to this. No. And all of you can fuck off because Raymond is overhyped.
Yeah.
Which one is
This
You all
Raymond?
just want a cat twink in a maid suit. That's it. Be honest with yourselves.
Hmm. Because I heard
But
about
no,
that, and I was very curious if you had been doing that.
We have given away one villager because he's pretty high tier, but I literally mean we gave him away. We did not ask for anything for him because selling villagers is wrong.
We just gave away our hostage, the goodness of our hearts.
I took him out of the fence prison that I kept him in.
Nah, he was just a squirrel we didn't want, but the game forced us into having him. He asked to move like a day after he moved in. We're like, no, you're staying for a little while. We want to get to know you. And then like 2 weeks later, he's like, hey, I want to move. Like, fine, leave, bastard.
Get fucked.
I can finally stop complaining about you to Isabel.
Mm.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the Animal Crossing black market is a cesspool.
It's weird. I haven't looked at it much in depth, but just the idea is kind of unsettling.
I appreciate it.
There's a lot of dupes and a lot of scams and a lot of ways to brick your save file.
Good.
Mm.
And it all revolves around Raymond.
It should involve Mr. Rossetti, and it should be an app in the game. It's his new side hustle.
Sounds good.
Like I understand some of the hype from an RNG perspective because he is the rarest villager to get because cats are have the highest number of unique villagers, and because he does not have an amiibo card, that would make him by default the hardest one to obtain.
Mm.
But still, he's overhyped. His house is just an office, and he doesn't have anything about him besides being a smug type villager, and there's plenty of smug types.
Mm. Capitalist cats get fucked.
When I started the game, I had, I don't know, some weird bear lady wearing a pink dress and a mouse that likes to work out and calls me Pipsqueak.
Yeah, you always start with an Uchi type and a Jock type.
I had no idea.
The bear seemed boring. I'll be honest.
Mine were a penguin and a rabbit, and we still have them.
Nice.
I think my girlfriend started with a horse and a gorilla, I want to say. Those little animals.
I personally like the lazy type villagers because they always talk about the bugs in their house, talking to them in their sleep and shit, and they're just weird.
They sound fun.
They're also the ones who will break the fourth wall.
Fun.
And imply that everything's a game. The logical fallacies of the shopping system on the island, and just poking fun at everything, and then like, wouldn't that be weird if this was all fake?
Oh.
Little did they
My
know.
wife is a lie.
We are all error.
I am living a lie. Well, that's fun. Does your village look like a cityscape yet? Like the tall buildings and all that shit.
And that's intentional.
You prefer the small village aesthetic?
Kind of going for a half and half. Like the lowest level of the island, where most everyone's houses are, is a little bit developed. Like walkways, like little landmarks here and there. But the cliffs and everything are a lot more natural, with only like a telescope and a hammock in places.
I haven't heard of how developed the island can actually get. I don't think it can really reach like city folk levels of developed, but yeah, small villages are certainly possible.
Oh, did I misunderstand? Because I've heard about some people like changing their system clock and literally making it look like downtown Tokyo and shit like that.
I haven't seen that, but I also haven't been looking into the thing super hard, so I could be mistaking something.
I know people have done a lot of customization with it. I haven't dug too deep into terraforming and everything outside of the basics, so I don't know how ridiculous islands can get. But
I've seen
I also have to share my island, so that's part of it.
And I've seen some people like try to make like Japanese-inspired towns, but they're pretty small scale from what I have seen. But we'll look into this, and we'll make our own Animal Crossing Tokyo.
Animal Crossing 2, Tokyo Drift.
I love it. 2 Animal, 2 Crossing. Featuring Ludacris.
Too fast, too furry.
No, we're not going there.
Too
Not
furry
yet, we
for
aren't.
y'all.
Any other games you've been playing?
A lot of PSO2.
I was gonna ask, when are you gonna talk about your real life?
Your new job.
I'm at about 65 hours, I think.
Rad.
I hit level 50 in one of the 9 classes, so that's nice.
And that's the
I
level
still
cap?
Yes, level 75 for 9 classes. So 75 times 9 is your level cap.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Sorry, were you gonna say before I interrupted you?
I've only been to, I think, let's see, I've done the forest, the caves, the desert, the tundra, and the coast. So I think I still have 11 other worlds I have to explore, I
Christ.
think. And each has 4 difficulties. It's just, there is so much to do in this game. Like, compared to the original, where it's just, okay, you go to the forest, you clear all the missions, alright, you're done. Go to the caves, clear all the missions, you're done. And this, it's like, okay, you go to this world, and then that breaks off into 2, and those break off, and this goes to here, and this goes here, and oh, you unlocked a new difficulty, since they're tied to levels and not beating all the levels on one difficulty. And it's just, it's overwhelming almost.
Doug, have you dug into Phantasy Star yet?
I have not. I have not had the time.
I was just looking forward to you guys reminiscing about your new lives together and everything in your little apartments and everything.
Once I am done with Final Fantasy VII, I will probably have more time to actually do that.
So, what exactly are like? Can you like explain to someone like me who is not like super in depth, doesn't have a super in depth understanding of what Phantasy Star is like what distinguishes it from other MMOs or online games?
By modern standards, not a lot.
No, this is an 8-year-old game.
Fair.
But
if you,
yeah, go ahead.
it's really for the nostalgia trip. Like, it is very clearly PSO, but more. Like, if you like big, goofy-ass anime weapons, and just fighting ridiculous amounts of monsters, and enjoying the comical side that Sega manages to bring to a lot of their stuff, You'll like it.
Like, think like at the time, especially with the original Phantasy Star Online, think action RPG plus dungeon crawling, and you can actually play with other humans online when that was like maybe around in a fighting game or like whatever NBA game was out at the time.
Just like a lobby that you can meet up with people and everything.
And on console. So think about it that way.
Yeah.
Of like otherwise you're playing WoW with somebody or fucking City of Heroes or at the time on PC.
I was gonna say, like, even if like it wasn't an entirely new concept, like bringing it to a group of people who hadn't experienced it before, like it kind of reminds me of like when I got to play Team Fortress 2 for the first time on the Xbox 360 when the Orange Box came out. Like, class-based shooters weren't a new thing or anything, but like seeing that for the first time myself, it really felt like a new experience to me.
It also helped that it was a good game.
Yeah, that's kind of what this is. Like, PSO 1 was the entire reason the GameCube had an online adapter. It was the only game for it.
That thing haunts me to this day because I saw one of those once on a Best Buy shelf, and I was like, that's weird. What would that be for? And then I never saw that thing ever again.
I didn't even know it was sold in America.
It was for an extremely brief time. I saw it myself. And I guess
I'm sure that wasn't a mirage.
I guess 10-year-old me had looked a gift horse in the mouth and let it go.
I never saw an online adapter ever.
Literally once.
Maybe it was better this way, because otherwise you would have just been holed up in your room and playing Phantasy Star and never had a childhood.
No, I would have been playing Kirby's Air Ride.
Oh my god, that game. Co-op City Trial? Ooh, that's where it's at.
I love the two final stars that you unlock or whatever. The fast ground one and the one that could fly.
Yeah, Dragon and
Hydra.
Hydra, that's right. Didn't you usually go for Dragon? I usually went for Hydra.
Yes, and you would always beat me when we would get bored and start just ramming into each other.
Yeah, because Hydra just went so ridiculously fast.
It was a literal brick shit house.
Hell yeah. It was my brick shit house.
What a dumb game.
I loved it so much.
That's how Smalls and I were, too. He would grab the Hydra because he just wanted to break everything, and I wanted the Dragoon because I never wanted to land.
Basically, yeah.
Now I kind of want to like get a ROM of Kirby Air Ride and just play around that lobby again.
You should probably check online, see if there's a community.
There probably is. I'm going to do that right now, actually. Fuck this podcast.
Yeah, Kirby's Air Ride is way more fun than this podcast.
Not a high bar or anything, but...
Oh, shit. So, let's see here. Playing anything else, Wally?
Yeah,
Kirby's
actually.
Air Ride, apparently.
Besides Air Ride, apparently. I picked up a little indie game on the Switch called Akane. It's like a twin-stick shooter, except you have limited ammo, and you also have a katana. And it's all about killing as many goons as you can without getting hit.
Huh. How do you spell that?
Akane.
Akane. I keep getting Ranma 1/2 long plays on YouTube searches. Oh, maybe this is it.
Yeah, it's like very cyberpunk dystopian because, well, cyberpunk dystopian.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
It's very quick. Play the tutorial first, otherwise you'll have no idea how to do anything.
Fair.
But what I like about it is that there's a recurring boss, and every time you beat him, he'll get stronger based on like what you did to stop him. So kind of like Mr. Freeze in Arkham City.
Interesting.
It was by far the best boss fight in that game.
It was.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I can't remember the amount of arguments I've had with other human beings about how he's the best part of that game.
There's no argument.
I've heard a lot of people go to bat for fucking the Solomon Grundy fight for some reason. I remember you having very strong feelings about that in particular.
That boss fight sucks.
At least it's not the Clayface final boss.
Yeah, I guess.
Throw ice grenade, dodge roll. Throw ice grenade, dodge roll.
Don't hate on my perfect strats.
There is, in fact, a modding community for Kirby's Air Ride.
Good.
If anyone's interested. They add more colors. They add more colors to Kirby, and you can make your own music soundtrack, playlists and whatnot.
Can I play as Can I play as John from Red Dead?
You can play like a really pale Kirby, so that's probably the closest equivalent.
Finally. Hire
these anyways,
people, Nintendo. Cowards. So that's cool. I dig I'm looking at the gameplay for Akane. I'm digging the art style. It looks cool.
Yeah, the art style's cool. The music's fun, and like when I die, it's like, okay, I just didn't have good enough reflexes. Like the game's very responsive, even with Switch drift.
Nice.
I feel like we have to grade Switch games based on how responsive they are, even with Switch drift at this point.
I would agree with that.
I think I'm the only person who has yet to experience Switch drift, but I hear it's an issue.
I experienced that even with Breath of the Wild at launch.
Oh Christ!
Yeah, we got a new set of Joy-Cons like a month ago, maybe 2 months, and already they're drifting.
Jesus.
I
That's
mean,
bad.
It's the Wario and Waluigi colored one, so I think that might be deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
It just
poor quality product.
Just randomizes your inputs occasionally. You have to do a WarioWare minigame to launch any of your games or get to the settings. Do the pick
I'd be down for that, actually.
Wario OS. Wario OS.
That would make sense in canon, too.
It would. Come on, Nintendo.
I need to go back to WarioWare Gold. That's fun.
They need to put that on Switch. Is what they need to do.
Yes.
They need to put any sort of previous generation games on Switch at all.
Well,
but we'll get to that.
Well, funny that you mentioned that. But yeah, they should. There's 1,000 fucking things that are not Wii U games, and I think they're literally just going backwards by release date.
Other than that, not much. I've been playing Magic Arena, which now has live draft instead of bot draft, so that's cool.
What is bot
What's
draft?
the difference?
So drafting, you take one card out of a pack, you pass the pack, and go on like that. Bot draft is where AI bots draft packs with you. So you can still get the draft experience, just not with other people. The problem is they were terrible at it. Now with live draft, you can actually draft authentically. You can hate draft and know that you'll actually be screwing somebody up.
Nice.
And just bringing it closer to being in person, especially right now, is kind of imperative.
Fair enough.
Fair.
Plus, the newest set has a Godzilla tie-in, an official Toho Godzilla tie-in. So that's awesome.
I should have put that in the show notes for news stories. Did you guys see that thing where Magic the Gathering had to put out an official release saying statement on Space Godzilla?
I got that card. I pulled it in my booster box. That card is never getting reprinted in its history, and I'm so happy I have Space Godzilla Death Corona.
And it uses the Corona beam.
That's something.
And they had to clarify, hey, so by the way, Corona did have other connotations to it than it does now, and it was also made multiple months before any of this happened.
Oh no, it was made years before the virus.
Oh my
Like these
God.
sets are made months and years in advance.
That's just
But yeah,
that is so
I'm
funny.
so happy I got that card because it will never get reprinted out of this initial run. It is actual history now.
Oh God.
Oh, lovely.
Very.
Also, Space Godzilla's badass, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah, that's for our Space Godzilla podcast launching later this month.
No, it's for our Jet Jaguar podcast featuring other kaiju.
Okay, yeah, I'm in favor of this. Gamera, let's talk about him.
You spin me round, right, baby, right.
Oh, Chuck's very confused.
I am. I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
Gamera's a turtle that shoots fire out of his limbs and spins and uses it to fly.
Oh, yeah, I think I've seen that dude.
He has a trilogy of movies that are really awesome.
There's an entire trilogy about that dude.
There sure is.
I
Cameras.
might have to look at that.
But yeah, that's been me.
Yay.
Ooh. So should I go?
Go for it.
Ooh.
Just go for it.
I've been for some reason that line has been stuck in my head recently, and I don't know why.
It's because you've played
yeah,
Beautiful Joe at some point in your life.
It's just stuck with me ever since. I also need to see those new Godzilla movies because I've heard they're fun.
They
At
are
least the
fun.
newest one.
The Shin Godzilla
Oh yeah,
is
King of the
very
Monsters
cool.
is great.
So
Shin Godzilla's
yeah.
in the Magic set too, by the way.
Nice.
Don't they have an official name for Shitty Godzilla? I thought.
It did. I don't remember what it is because they kill him in canon.
That's dope.
Oh, you mean Zilla or Gino or any other?
The one that was in the shitty Mark Wahlberg movie. Wasn't he killed in like Godzilla 2000 or something?
So, you guys can fact check at the Godzilla War, and in the meantime, I'll tell you, fine kids at home, about the Persona 5 Royal.
Woo!
Most of what I've been playing lately.
Poochie edition.
It basically is.
Check out our. Although I've heard the Poochie in this one is at least better than the Poochie in 4.
The updates, you mean?
Poochie, yeah.
Yeah, I've been kind of going through that in my head. But for those of the for those who are unaware, Persona 5 was a Japanese roleplay RPG in which you played a young Japanese high school male spending an entire year in Tokyo and forming a group called the Phantom Thieves of Heart, who make evildoers confess their crimes by going into their mind palaces and stealing their distorted desires and whatnot. It's a neat premise and is a sequel to the award-winning and very well-respected and beloved Persona series and everything. It's a series very near and dear to my heart, and so naturally, when I heard that the game was being updated in another edition, Persona 5 Royal, I was kind of excited. The one thing that I will say is that I kind of question the business practice of it. The series has done this multiple times before. P3 got an updated version with P3 Fez. Persona 4 obviously got Persona 4 Golden. I'm not sure how long the distances were between those things, though. Because I want to say that P3 Fez happened fairly, like, not too long after P3, but P4G was, like, years later and on a completely different console. So I kind of worry about, like, essentially reselling games multiple times over with just, like, some icing on top. But that debate aside, I am having a lot of fun with P5R.
It would bother that practice would bother me less in a scenario where it's not a console exclusive to an incredibly specific. The fact that P4G is still trapped on the Vita.
Vita of all things, Jesus Christ. Yeah. My girlfriend, I introduced to the series through the original Persona 5, and I've been meaning to have her play the previous games in the series, specifically P4G, but, Vita emulation isn't where it should be, and I'm not going to shove out, like, $200 or however much it takes to get my hands on a fucking Vita TV. So that's kind of out of the window, unfortunately.
That shit is ridiculous, because those were literally, you could buy 3 of them for $10, like, at the end of that thing's lifespan.
Yeah. Anyway, Persona 4 Golden, very much worth playing if you haven't already, kids. But anyway, yes, it is as well.
Sorry, anyway, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Persona 5 Royal is updated version of Persona 5. It has new features and new... So the game is, for those who aren't aware, is essentially split into 2 main gameplay loops of dungeon crawling and social sim, in which you're hanging out with people in Tokyo, building up social relationships to get perks and just learning more about their characters. And P5R introduces 2 new social relationships and debatably a third. One is a new party member, but she named
Poochie.
What?
Poochie.
Name Poochie. Poochie is an interesting character because I feel as though he is a very rad dog, and he talks a lot about mental health and everything, which I think is cool.
And then at the end of the game, he says, "I have to return to my home planet now.
People need me. My planet needs me." He's actually doing that in the first half of the game, though, because unfortunately, like, his social sim is like half locked and everything. Like, it maxes out at 5 as opposed to 10, which is what most of them max out at. So I'm assuming that's going to be like evolved upon in like the last semester, which the game adds on at the end. Like, the game used to end around December or so, but now it seems to go on for an extra month or 2. So I assume that there's going to be an extra dungeon and character development there, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, haven't gotten to experience much of the new party member, and most of the story thus far is pretty much identical to what happened in the original game. Just with Poochie showing up every 5 minutes to be like, "Hey, I'm here. I'll be relevant at some point."
How
no
could
worries.
This have happened? It's just a transition frame, insert their dialogue, and then everybody goes back to talking in a group.
More or less. But yeah, there are numerous other additions, most of which are gameplay focused, but I think are fun. There are like certain additions that make the game slightly more, like, help you to better invest in like certain battle tactics or strategies that weren't quite as viable in the first game, the original, but are slightly more viable now. Like upgrading. The game has the battles have a sort of system called the baton pass, in which if you hit an enemy's weakness, you can give an extra turn to another teammate, which wasn't all that powerful in the original game, but now has the option to be leveled up multiple times by playing a darts mini game with your party members, which is kind of fun, and just helps you to really optimize damage output between your party members and everything. So it's fun, and there's a lot of extra little additions like that. Cool. Don't want to get too into the weeds and ramble on, but yeah, I think it's generally a fun experience. I'm enjoying it thus far. Do worry a bit about, again, the business practice of it, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. But I mean, I guess it is here and
you
now.
You think it's a good companion piece then?
Yeah, like if you're just if you're starved for Persona content, as I know a lot of the fans of the series are, I know I was, then yeah, I could easily see somebody justifying it, especially if the end game content holds up. But yeah, that's purely your own opinion, and it doesn't seem like it would do a whole lot for someone like you, Doug, who thought P5 was kind of underwhelming, to my recollection.
I don't even know if underwhelming is the thing there. It's just that I feel like its execution didn't ring with me the way 4 did. Like to me 4 is still the pinnacle of that, and admittedly I have a bit of bias to that in that I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable a lot, and to play a game that is so specifically inspired by that fucking arc of JoJo, I will admit, gives me a bit of personal bias. But beyond that, I mean, I thought it was a fun game. But yeah, I was a little underwhelmed.
They add in a JoJo reference in P5R if that tempts you at all.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Somebody does a weird pose.
Somebody does the da 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 and punches somebody a lot.
Some Japanese tourist, some American tourist goes, "Oh shit!" Oh,
I'll never forgive the Japanese.
Now with the punches, is it moo dum 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 dum? Is it that makes a difference?
I think it was another character literally says the phrase before that happens. Literally says the phrase, "You go, Fist of Phantom Star," or something to that effect.
Oh, so we're doing Fist of the North Star then.
Fist of the North Star references.
I'm dumb. I'm really dumb. JoJo and Fist of the North Star are basically the same thing when you think about it.
All anime is the same thing if you really think about it.
All of this is derived from the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's all the same thing.
I'm gonna stop talking now.
All of it is basically Shakespeare if you really get down to it.
Do the news thing. Do the news sound effect right now.
Well, I can't. Well, did you have any other games to talk about? Or?
No, shut up.
No.
Do the news thing.
Well, I can't do the news thing because I have one more game to talk
right
about.
Now.
So.
You don't even care, do you?
You fucking sound important. Just talk about your dumb thing.
Anyway, I played Doom Eternal.
Oh, nice.
I started Doom Eternal, and over the course of what feels like 10,000 years, I finished Doom Eternal. Due to quarantining stuff, I basically had an incredibly limited time to actually play the game. So I basically had to finish it over the course of 3 weeks, whereas the original game I was able to blast through in like a day and a half. So it was, it was a little bit, it took a little bit longer than I would have preferred, but so yeah, Doom Eternal happened. That game is super cool. I like it a lot. I'm going to complain about a bunch of very specific things that I think suck before I get to the stuff I enjoyed. In that, boy, the first thing I'm going to say is the story is terrible.
I remember you mentioned that.
I wanted to be hesitant about it because I hadn't seen the entirety of it the last time I spoke to anybody about the story, but yeah, the main thing I'll say about the story is it has this very nifty feature where you can hold down a key and skip the cutscenes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Doom Eternal as a whole, so Doom 2016 was a really awesome game, and the only actual problem with it was that it had a bunch of bloatware that I remember this was a major contingent when Giant Bomb was doing their Game of the Year deliberations for 2016, I want to say, where they were basically arguing between Hitman, the reboot of Hitman, and Doom 2016. And I completely agreed with the people that didn't give top slot to Doom 2016 because it had a shitty multiplayer suite. A fucking super, super shitty, feeling like knockoff Halo multiplayer suite that was awful.
It was terrible. I played like one match of it and still have nightmares.
It was really shitty. And Snap Map, a thing that no one has ever asked for and didn't want. So that was a whole thing. But in terms of the single player, the game was really good. And the thing I will say about Doom Eternal is that Doom Eternal is more of everything from the single player of Doom 2016 in both good and bad ways, specifically in that there is way more story this time and it is all terrible. I'll actually say it's one step worse than even just being atrociously bad. It is needlessly dull, which is almost incredible considering the story is about demons and space wizards making a pact with each other to keep the balance of life and death in the balance for the universe. And you find out the Doomslayer's true race and shit like that. But it is so boring. It is so.
What makes it so dull?
Because it's a lot of stuff where, like, when it's trying to be serious, it's very played out. It's very Doomslayer, you can't do this because you don't understand the true ramifications of whatever, and we have to harvest human souls. Yeah, the space wizards all have reasons for doing the thing they're doing, and all of it is as predictable as it could ever be, and it was just very, very dull. It really, really reminds me of Chronicles of Riddick, if anybody's seen that movie, where
like the original, or
well, not Pitch Black, like the weird, almost like space Lord of the Rings sequel.
Was that the third one because the second one was animated?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that third one was bad.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
There's just so much of it and like so much of it, and when it's not being serious, it's full of very flat satire where, like, in a lot of cases it'll be like holograms being like, be sure to not refer to them as demons, refer to them as living impaired, and just
SJWs are gonna shit their pants over that.
Just a lot of shit like that, and like almost none of it lands, and it's just not very funny on top of not being engaging. And I will also say this is also the first game in literally 25 years where they actually have the Doomslayer say words.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And to be honest, like, I'm not really that bothered by the idea of something like that, but the main thing I will say about it is how incredibly innocuous it is and how, like, just kind of toothless it is, because he literally says, like, I think a total of like maybe 3 or 4 sentences, and it's just lines he has said in other games, or like lines that have been said in other Doom games. He literally just says rip and tear and demons everywhere and stuff like that. And I was just like, it felt so limp dick and just really unimpressive that you have him speak for the first time ever, and the thing he says is so incredibly forgettable and just not interesting. I was just really kind of taken aback by like how incredibly bad the story is, and it's so boring. It's so boring. I actively had a way better experience replaying levels, having the voice acting turned to 0, and just having like a podcast or music going on in the background. Yeah, that was really bad. Now, that being said, mechanically, this game is fucking awesome. This game, it is damn near perfect. It is measurably harder than the original Doom 2016 game in like very noticeable ways immediately. Like, this game kicks the shit out of you immediately. You're running out of ammo constantly. The chainsaw that was originally like a last ditch effort if like a boss fight was taking too long so you could get some extra ammo is now just a recharging thing, because in the early game, you're going to be running out of ammo constantly. And you have to move, you have to exploit weak points on enemies, serpentining, moving. You have a double jump and a double air dash for maneuverability and platforming and stuff like that.
And wall climbing.
It's
so a lot more maneuverability and platforming than usual.
Yes, and more weapons, more weapon options. Just a lot of really good changes that escalate every bit and aspect of the original game. And it feels great to play. I will personally say they opted for, instead of more levels, they just took like basically the same number of levels they had last time and made all of them way fucking longer. An average level was taking me around like an hour and a half to complete, and that's not looking for side objectives and collectibles. There's really awesome little quality of life features where when you get near the end of a level, you'll actually unlock fast travel for that entire level, so you can teleport back to other parts of the map. Because when you come across hidden objects or challenges or anything like that, those get highlighted on your map. And if you want to keep progressing through the level and then get fast travel near the end and then go back to do it, then that's great. You can totally do that.
That's nice. If you're not in the mood for an objective or side thing right off the bat, you can come back to it later.
Yeah, basically. And stuff like that.
Yeah, you like miss something and you didn't realize it. Use a guide. Oh, I just have to go back here.
Yeah, basically. I will say there is one unfortunate thing with that I am more than confident is just going to get patched at some point, because when you actually complete a level and reload it, you actually lose the fast travel again until you play through the entire level again and get it again.
That seems entirely pointless.
Yeah, that's dumb.
That's why I'm saying this, as I am very confident that's just going to get patched at some point, because that seems like just a straight up oversight. Because everything else about the game is purely ease of use and easy traversal through levels and everything. And I really appreciate that. The game, beginning to end, is really an awesome ride, outside of, like, I guess I would describe a kind of underwhelming final boss fight, but I actually remember it, as opposed to Doom 2016, that I actually literally had to think really hard and look back at gameplay footage to remember there even was a final boss fight.
That incredibly memorable character turned into that incredibly memorable monster.
Ah, yes, that humongous, that big dinosaur face. I remember him.
I love the Cyber Demon.
But
isn't that always the boss of Doom?
So yeah, Doom Eternal is really an awesome game. I really had a fun time with it. I am happy to see that with a news story, my feelings about the soundtrack were at least semi-confirmed.
Unfortunately.
I know nothing about that story, so I'm looking forward to hearing all about that.
That's perfectly fine. But yeah, for what it's worth, Doom Eternal, really awesome. PC port's really solid and really cool. Their dumb little multiplayer mode is dumb and fun, I guess, because it's just a 2-on-1 asynchronous, where one person plays the Doomslayer and two people play as higher level demons. And it's just a case of you have to down both of them, because otherwise the demons can res each other. So it's just like a little, like, I don't know, like a little challenge map, I guess.
It's like NPC. It's like other players invading in Dark Souls.
Yeah, basically.
It's just an extra layer of difficulty.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll say, just as my final pass here, the game really builds on itself incredibly well and ups both your arsenal and challenge like pretty evenly throughout the entire game. I really am impressed with the design for Doom Eternal. They really knocked it out of the park with this one. Story notwithstanding, because boy, it's shitty.
Does it set up for a Doom 3?
About the same as Doom 2016, I guess. It seems possible, but I'm not really holding my breath about it, if only because this game feels like it had a lot of development troubles. So
maybe we'll get into that, though.
Yeah, maybe. So, moving on into news. Did you guys happen to know that that Mick Gordon will no longer be working with Bethesda on future projects?
I heard about it.
How come?
Well, this is one of those stories. This is one of the what?
Aren't you gonna do the news sound thing?
Oh yeah, the thank you.
I know our fans are just on the edge of their seats and everything. Needed to hear.
See, we also had to fire Mick Gordon, so we don't have sound anymore.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the news now.
That's
Stuff
really
that's going
quiet.
on.
Well, you said it was too loud before.
Fair enough.
How about this?
We're gonna talk about the news now. Stuff that's been going on. God, I hope any of it's good. Fuck.
That's better. Anyway, no, Mick Jagger is no longer working with Bethesda. Why is that, Doug?
So, beloved, I'm definitely going to say beloved video game composer Mick Gordon, gentleman who has been working in the industry, the video game industry specifically, since Destroy All Humans and Battle for Bikini Bottom, I believe, were his first projects.
Got nostalgia running through his veins.
So, yeah, he's been in the industry for a long time, and there were interesting rumors and reactions going on when Doom Eternal first launched, in that a bunch of people, especially a lot of like music heads, were talking about how the game's music seemed very compressed and not mastered in a way that matched Doom 2016. And everyone was like, that's weird, why that? And then a bunch of random screen caps started happening from like private messages with Mick Gordon to other people talking about how he has no interest in working with Bethesda in the future. This is definitely one of those stories I was very glad that we went so long without recording an episode, because this was definitely one of those like stories that kept building on itself as we kept getting more information.
Yeah.
And very recently, well, kind of recently, like probably a week and a half ago or something, Bethesda put out their official statement on the matter, and they kind of put all the cards on the table there, where basically they pretty much put down even just the basics of when they contacted him for making the soundtrack, and like time frames of when it needed to be done and when it was starting to get worked on, and even clarified that Doom Eternal's last delay from March to April, I want to say, was specifically because Mick Gordon asked for additional time. And so the way a lot of people have been, and they have since specifically clarified that going forward, because Doom Eternal actually has single player DLC on the horizon for future development, which I'm actually very excited about, because there's a couple of very specific things in the background that they never quite get to in the single player that I definitely hope become a thing in the future in DLCs. But
That'd be nice.
Yeah. But yeah, basically they clarified that they will not be working with him on the soundtracks involving the DLCs, which is unfortunate, but so it's kind of coming down to like a he said, she said in terms of everything that everybody else is clarifying with this. And I don't really know if this is the right avenue to go with that, just because basically they clarify that they contacted him in January to work on the soundtrack. And like I was confused because I looked up as many old interviews with Mick Gordon for working on Doom 2016 soundtrack, and he was brought on that project 2 years prior to release. And I was like, January doesn't seem like a lot of time.
Yeah.
Hence,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I could see it if they were just reusing a bunch of tracks from 2016, maybe like adjust a few things.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of like, that's why I was speaking on like Doom 2016. Doom Eternal feels like it had a bit of a troubled getting out the door, path to getting out the door, and
Which is pretty typical for its series now, I guess.
I guess. But yeah, that it's unfortunate. My heart goes out to everyone involved because at the end of the day, that just means we're getting additional Doom work that isn't going to have Mick Gordon's stamp on it, and that sucks because his work with the soundtrack was very good. It's not really my brand of music anymore, but I can perfectly well acknowledge how good it was.
I've heard many people say that they love Doom, if only for its soundtrack these days. And yeah, it's also not my cup of tea, but I can certainly understand it.
Yeah.
Being my cup of tea, it is really sad to hear that it's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
But I'm still holding out hope for another Killer Instinct for him to work on the soundtrack.
Whoop, whoop.
Because, my God.
That would be nice. That would be very nice. R.I.P.
F.
While we're still on Doom, did you have anything in your show notes about De Novo being added into it again?
No, I know nothing about that story. So if you happen to, you're more than welcome to. But
this is a quick story, and I don't have like a whole lot of qualitative notes in front of me or anything. But so yeah, those in the peanut gallery may remember that De Novo was in Doom Eternal when it first released, or to be more precise, wasn't. Because Bethesda released what?
Yep.
And so De Novo is a form of DRM meant to help stop piracy and everything. However, for some reason, I don't remember why, Doom Eternal released with a like execution file in it and everything, which essentially meant that the DRM was worthless. So
I think if I remember correctly, they literally like just uploaded the wrong version of the game.
Yeah, it might have been like an earlier build or something.
Shout outs to Lab Zero and their early access Indivisible release.
So yeah, De Novo, round 1 for Doom Eternal didn't work out super well, and I think it was actually patched out afterwards because of that. However, it has recently been patched into Doom Eternal as an anti-cheat measure, because apparently some cheaters have been running rampant in Doom Eternal's multiplayer, and I think it was also a big issue in the original Doom 2016, so they were concerned about that. So they've instituted to add De Novo to its latest patch. However, some folks are not super hyped about that because De Novo's anti-cheat measures are very extensive and can actually lead to security risks, apparently. And might even make the game run not great. That's a little more debatable, but yeah, so the game is just being super review bombed on Steam right now, and folks are not super hyped about it.
Okay. I did not know about that. I guess I'm glad I finished the game before that happened.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Pirates.
It seems like it was a recent update too, like just a couple of days ago. But there's been a lot of comments about performance issues and even game crashes because of it.
Great.
Pirates once again having a better experience than customers.
That's fine.
Great work you got there, Bethesda.
That's fine.
Speaking of Bethesda, how about 76?
Hey.
I know we have that and everything, but we really need like an official sound effect for this. Like, okay, that'll work until we find something else. I would prefer to hear like
Anthem's completely dead at this point, so I'm just using the Anthem one.
Well, there was also a thing about that too, but we might get to that later. Anyway, 76.
Yeah, I can tackle this one.
Okay, go
right
do
ahead.
it.
So, 76 has NPCs.
Whoa!
This has finally happened.
Shit. When would this happen?
About 2 months ago, middle of March. And surprisingly, NPCs were added for free, which is even better.
It wasn't part of that
But
Wastelanders thing?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They are the titular Wastelanders. But it would appear they're taking out their payment in trade. Because the NPCs are looting weapons and armor and items off of dead bodies. which to me sounds suspiciously like Skyrim scripting.
So, are they stealing stuff from like dead enemies that's supposed to be like player loot, or are they literally stealing from players somehow?
Yes.
They're stealing from players, right?
Yeah, they are taking from enemies, they are taking from players, they are taking from dead bodies, which is how NPCs are scripted in Skyrim.
So players are actually just losing their own high-level loot and everything because of these bastards with no way to get it back?
Yes.
That's so fucking awesome. I don't even...
Shout out to Fallout 76.
Now, if this is a way just to reclaim all the duped items, like, I don't know if the NPCs are just picking out duped items to take.
That would be rad,
that-
actually, but that
would be really cool.
but
I really doubt that's the case.
yeah, that implies a level of confidence on Bethesda's part, which I don't think they have.
They should all be taking it back to that dev room that people figured out how to glitch into, and they're just making a giant stockpile of all of it.
They're barricading the dev room with the confiscated weapons.
Oh, God. That's hilarious.
Never change, Bethesda, but please fucking change.
Change your fucking engine, if nothing else. Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. Did any of you catch the craziness involving, speaking of shitty publishers, did any of you catch the shitty Cooking Mama weirdness that went on for a minute?
Hell
Yes.
yeah, I did. For those who are unaware of him, Matt McMuscles, I believe, is his online avatar.
Yes.
He has a show called What Happened, and he has a great episode on the Cooking Mama incident. Because we're probably going to leave out a couple of details from this extensive saga here.
Oh, I have
very.
very little details involving this, but basically I remember them putting out a shitty Cooking Mama game, and everyone was complaining online, going, "Why does this suck?" And then they took it off the store, and then eventually people started finding weird missing bits of code that people thought was like a fucking Bitcoin miner or some shit.
Which I think may have been falsified and everything, to my understanding.
Probably.
I could be mistaken. It's been a while since
I think it
looked
was
at.
falsified.
Yeah. So
That's
Cooking
fine.
Mama
I just
is not
thought
a.
it was weird.
Yeah, it's hilarious. The idea of Cooking Mama being a international Bitcoin miner criminal.
Finally, her true calling. Quarantine is affecting her.
But yeah, Cooking Mama game came out, then sort of uncame out, and is in a weird state now where some people found it on the Nintendo eShop and managed to download it within like an hour window. Some people didn't find it within that window and now can't buy it. It's a weird thing, but it sounds like the game wasn't exactly fantastic to begin with. So not much lost, I guess.
I saw a video of it. It looked shitty.
It's a shame because I think the concept is kind of cute, and I've enjoyed this. I've played the series a little bit in the past. I think it was like the Wii, whatever game was on the Wii, and it's fine. I could see a kid being entertained by it. But yeah, it certainly doesn't have much depth or much of anything, though it sells very well apparently.
Babysitting Mama was hilarious.
It was baby racing.
Just the fact that we have to contemplate that Cooking Mama could have been used for Bitcoin mining is
Yes.
staggering.
That's the world I'm happy I live in.
So I've got a couple of quick stories here. Let's see here. Yo, 3D Mario 3D remasters incoming from a bunch of sources. This would have been in rumors other than a bunch of major fucking outlets reporting on this. Who's hyped?
Yeah, I heard about
We'll consider it single confirmed for now.
Yeah, I guess. Because obviously Nintendo's like, hey, coronavirus is weird and it might slow our progress on on the three things that we have currently announced.
Please understand, Breath of the Wild 2 cannot be completed.
Don't even talk to us about Metroid Prime 4 or Bayonetta 3.
Please stop.
You will delay them by a month every time you ask.
Although Deadly Premonition 2 trucking along.
nothing can stop that game.
Nothing better ever stop that game. But yeah, I'm hyped. I would love to be able to play Mario 64 in not an emulator.
Or I'd love to play the Mario Galaxy games again.
Word.
I want to play Sunshine again.
Boo.
Me too.
Shut the fuck up, Doug.
We're taking that soundboard away from you because of your bad opinions.
I want it to be stated that the opinions of individual members of this podcast do not represent the official representation of the opinions of the podcast as a whole. And I do, and even though my co-hosts are dirty Mario Sunshine defenders,
they don't represent the opinions of the podcast as a whole. They just represent the majority, the correct majority.
Even if it's a shitty opinion, but yes.
I do not think Sunshine is the best Mario game, but it is still a good Mario game.
You know what? I want to get off this toxic topic here. What do you guys actually think is the best 3D Mario game? Because I actually asked myself that question, and I actually wasn't sure if I had an answer for that.
Yeah, I've thought about it before, and I probably keep going back and forth between the two Mario Galaxies, and I can't decide between the two.
Because in my head, Galaxy 2 seems like a cinch, because like the boss fights are shittier, but like the level design I remember being incredible. And then, but then I'm also like, but Mario 64, if you've never fucking played that game before, that game is amazing.
It still holds up. It's still amazing.
Yeah, I'd probably jump between Galaxy and 64, though I do really like Odyssey.
I was not a huge fan of Odyssey, to be honest.
Doug actually sold his copy of Odyssey before I could play it and mooch off of him and everything. I was confused why he did that, and then I bought my own copy, and I was like, oh.
See, I like Odyssey because of just hijacking enemies and dicking around as an enemy.
Oh, I'm not pretending that's not
gimmick.
cool. It's just, I think maybe they shouldn't have named it in a way that makes it reminiscent to other like Mario platformers.
Yeah, that thing is
You know
not
what I
a
mean?
Mario game. It's like a weird banjo.
Don't get me wrong. Like
half.
my user picture is the T-Rex with the mustache, and it will be for the rest of time. But
There's some fun things in there, but
It
it
kind of felt like a Kirby game.
I can see
bit.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kirby,
There's
honestly,
our
I would have been 100%
Kirby.
down. And then there's just a Mario world where it's still that lady singing the fucking song that kicks ass.
I'd actually super be up for like a 3D Kirby game.
Word. The sequel
Or
to
just-
Kirby 64.
I was gonna say, or just fucking re-release Kirby 64, please.
But give us a little more with it.
Yes, even more.
Another level. $60, please.
Kirby 64 Royal.
Now you can be the Poochie.
What would be the two things that you have to fuse to form Poochie? Would it be like
pile
power
of-
and spike or something?
A pile of trash and a CEO.
Anyways, sir,
PlayStation
what were we
5
talking
controller
about?
revealed. Who's hyped? It's white and black.
It doesn't have the share button anymore. It has a create button. Whatever the fuck that means.
It's more synergy for my brain palace. It make happy.
Sure.
I'm not hyped about the color scheme, I guess.
I'm
Like,
curious to see if that actually reflects what the box looks like.
I fucking hope it does. But yeah, it's just sort of
It's
like
still
the
just another
weird.
black box. They just threw out the controller.
It's
to die.
green instead. But yeah, just something about like the colors of just like the white handles up against like the black underpinnings of it, or like I'm not even sure how to describe it really. But yeah, it just looks kind of weird or alien to me, I guess.
It doesn't look like a PlayStation controller.
No.
No.
But it'll have haptic feedback which will help you feel more immersed and powerful,
Whoa.
and adaptive triggers, and a
Whoa.
built-in microphone array. I don't know what the fuck that is, but it has it.
It will channel the inside of your ear canal and just send
It will
us 3D
utilize
prints
all-
of your ears.
It'll utilize all the powers of the Dark Ado.
I'll be like Giorno from Part 5 and just fold my ear into my ear canal. And that's not even a stand ability. That's just something he does.
Like Kakyoin's tongue dance.
Yeah, basically, he literally just looks at somebody and they go, "What kind of skills do you have?" And he goes, "I can fold my ear into my head." And he just does it, and he's really impressed.
The controller will also have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack.
Whoa, things retaining headphone jacks.
Mm-hmm.
We must be in the post future now.
I'm pressing X to doubt as hard as I can.
I want to see the box and warn about the launch games. The controller's fine, I guess.
I'm almost convinced we're not going to fucking see the box until launch day.
That'd be a pretty bold marketing
No,
strategy.
they'll make sure that all of them get shipped in time-locked boxes, so you don't get to see the box until the day after launch.
And if you try to open it beforehand, the motherboard just melts.
It just explodes, killing you and your family.
Schrodinger's PS5.
Oh, God. Okay, fast story here. Rumors that Capcom is in full production for Resident Evil 4 remake. And
Makes sense.
It's part of the and a lot of it is being sorted as to why, cited as reasons why RE3 remake felt a bit short or a bit lacking in features.
I was gonna say, like, go ahead.
Is because they're making sure an RE4 remake gets every bit of resources that it can.
Which, hot take, I don't want RE4 remake.
Word.
Yeah, I have sort of mixed feelings on this. Like, RE4 is easily within my top 10, maybe even top 5 games of all time. So, like, I love it to death and everything, but I still feel as though, unlike RE's 1 through 3, which were on, like, the original fucking PlayStation and everything, I feel as though RE4 still holds up pretty well. So,
Yeah, I just played it a couple months ago on Xbone, and it's still responsive. I still remember all the exploits I did on the GameCube version. Like, it still holds up. It's still a really fun game. And I feel that instead of remaking RE4 just to know, they'll make money, they could remake something that needs it, like Zero or Code Veronica.
yeah, I went
Or
on the
Zero. Especially Zero. Remake fucking Zero and make it actually decent.
No.
I've heard a lot of people clamoring for a Code Veronica remake. I've heard no one clamoring for Zero.
I don't want. As speaking as someone who doesn't like RE4,
Because he's wrong.
The opinions of this podcast and its host do not reflect the greater views of people with common sense.
The host especially.
I've always called RE4 the greatest game ever made that I just can't get into. I have purchased that game on almost every platform that it has ever come out on and played it every single time, and I drop off it every single time. But speaking as someone who isn't that passionate about RE4, my first reaction to a remake of it is why. Because
it'll sell.
Because, like, it's a game. Yeah, but it is literally still a modern enough game that sparked most of modern development. Like, playing it now, as far as I can tell, plays the exact same as it did the day it came out, and people have very few criticisms about it.
Yeah, like, there's maybe some muddy textures and everything in a number of places, but that's about all I can think of, really.
Like, RE2 and RE3 are built on ancient technology that to a modern audience doesn't play very well, except for people that have nostalgia for that, or somebody comes up with a better pitch for why it looks weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I can think they're going to change is putting in not tank controls.
And I would be I'm not sure if that would work. I don't know. But RE4 remake probably coming.
Probably
Look
coming.
forward to opening your wallets, kids.
No.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm talking to an empty room on this one, but Nier recently had an anniversary announcement.
Yeah, I heard about that. We're getting, what is it, a remake of Gestalt?
We are getting
Or is it a-
we are getting a remaster, big quote unquotes, of Replicant. Near Replicant, and then it's version 12538548532 or something. They just refer to it as Near Replicant. I will speak personally when I say I'm very glad that they listened to feedback about re-releasing that game, because I do think the original Nier, the original Nier was such a weird release at the time, because there were so many critics that didn't really dig that game, and then there were so many like not critics that were like, hey, you need to fucking check out this game. And I do think there's a lot of special stuff in it. I do think it's a very cool game, and I think it has a lot of really awesome stuff that I'm actually very happy to have experienced myself. I am disappointed that it's Near Replicant and not Near Gestalt. And in case for people that aren't aware of what the difference of that is, basically Gestalt is the version that was released in the US on the 360, where you play as a father trying to rescue his daughter. And Replicant was released on the PS3 in Japan, and you are an older brother trying to save your younger sister. So unfortunately, this release will involve, I am rather disappointed that we're not going to get to play as Papa Nier, and instead we're stuck with Oni-chan.
Bro Nier.
Oni-chan. But they've confirmed additional music. They've confirmed new voice acting, which I'm hoping that just means remasters of current voice acting, because some of those characters, the brother specifically, was never voiced in English, so I understand that. But a lot of those other voice actors are very famous and like actually very popular, and a lot of them carry the weight of that game. Like, a lot of their performances are fantastic. I forget who plays the fucking floating book, but he specifically is a very long and favored voice actor, so I hope he doesn't get replaced.
Yeah, I'm still very leery of replacing the voice cast after Silent Hill 3 remaster, HD, whatever, train wreck.
Shitting up the place edition.
Not final release edition.
Early access. The early nightmare begins. But yeah, so they announced that there is no release date tied to this thing yet, but a lot of people are theorizing it is coming out this year, because they only confirmed it for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. They are not confirming PS5 versions of this or anything. So I don't know about that, but I am curious. I would love if it's coming out this year. That would be really awesome. But personally, I don't know. And they're also talking up some weird near incarnation phone game thing. And Yokotaro keeps saying like, oh, it's going to be very innovative and stuff. I got to be honest. I'm looking at the footage and like, it looks like some weird shitty phone game, but who knows? Could be cool, I guess.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Final news topic for this edition. Xbox had an official event showing off stuff.
They
Sure
showed
did.
a lot of videos.
They showed
A lot of gameplay.
They showed a lot of videos, of some of which kind of looked like gameplay, I guess.
in-engine videos are not gameplay.
What are you talking about? The engine is playing the game, idiot.
Despite that, though, we did get a lot of world premieres.
World premiere. It did also world premiere Yakuza 7's Steam page, which that's cool.
It did indeed.
I didn't see the Xbox thingamajigger. Was there anything good there? I heard the story about Ass Creed, and that's about it.
Yeah, Valhalla's what they were banking on. I'm really excited about the Medium. It's basically Silent Hill with the original sound director for the Silent Hill franchise.
It looks almost astoundingly similar to Downpour.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. And Downpour wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't a good game.
Yeah.
Who was the original sound guy for Silent Hill? Was that Yokotaro?
Yamaoka.
Yamaoka, fuck. I'm smart.
It's fine.
And it's made by the team that made the Blair Witch game. So I know they can do horror to an extent.
Yeah, I think that thing was decent.
Yeah, again, wasn't bad, wasn't good. It had bits of both. So I'm optimistic.
I'm glad to hear.
Beyond that, though, I don't know. I'll be honest, not a ton of it stood out to me personally. That Bandai Namco game, Scornbringer? What the hell was it called? Scorn or something?
Scarlet something. Scorn was the really weird alien body horror game that I'm excited about because I like that, alien body horror.
Yeah, it had that dripping robot penis at the end.
Yes.
I'll need to look at this, I guess.
And then naturally, Like a Dragon was probably the best thing they showed.
Woo! Because that game's already out.
Oh, damn.
It's already out in Japan. It's not released in the US yet.
I'll never forgive the Japanese.
I won't forget this.
But it will be a launch title for the Sex Box, so that's cool.
Woo! Yay, Yakuza, you're a real series now and not locked to a single platform.
Yeah, Game Pass just got a Yakuza Kiwami, I think it is.
Woo!
Yeah.
So I need to break into that at some point.
That game's fun. It has the Majima Everywhere system.
I haven't even played it, but I've seen some cutscenes of that. That's fantastic.
But yeah, and there was some Bandai Namco game or something like that. I'm not falling for their tricks anymore because there was a point where I thought Code Vein would be cool, and then I played Code Vein and I was like, oh.
Oh, and there was a trailer for Vampire the Masquerade 2.
Yes.
I'm excited about that because I like the tabletop game, and the original is a cult classic.
I like that game a lot. I wish I didn't lose every single save I've ever had to it to bugs, but oh well.
They said that they're specifically trying to take more time to polish this end product to ensure a similar release doesn't happen, but who knows how accurate that is.
Who knows?
It's good they recognize their problems.
There you go.
Agreed. So, let's see. I think that's just about everything I got, unless you guys got anything else.
No, I think we shout on Bethesda. We hit our Bethesda shitting quota. Yep.
Yeah, we got him for 76, as is the usual, and we got him for Doom. So
yeah, we did a nice 1-2 combo there.
Nice 1-2 there. You suck.
And got to sneak some Skyrim in there. So that's a 3 hit.
Well, so did they.
Skyrim is overrated, and I hate it. So we got them there too. Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody,
Bye, everybody.
for joining us.
If you
Man, we
feel
usually
like-
end with the wet part. But
if you feel like sending us some questions or just tell us that we're cool, we have an email address that I'm going to tell myself because these assholes literally never say it correctly.
I said it correctly once.
If you want to tell Doug how wrong he is for his opinions on RE4 and Super Mario Sunshine, where would they send them to, Doug?
They would send that to Walle sucks at at sucking.suck. They would
at
send that
Yahoo.
to questions@alternativeinput.com.
What was that one more time, Douglas?
That's questions@alternativeinput.com. It's almost like you just have to say it correctly and then it's fine.
I wish I was saying that I was doing it wrong on purpose, but I actually just fuck it up continuously.
It's fine.
Put your questions at alternativeinput.com.
Look at that.
Hmm.
Look at that.
I'll get it right next time.
That's fine.
But if you want to really get Doug's blood pressure going, send them to floatinggmail@com.questions.
We almost had an episode without mentioning it. We almost got there.
It's fine. It will be the carrot on the stick from where I continuously run on my hamster wheel angrily.
We're establishing a brand, okay?
We're destroying our brand. We're actively muddying it.
Oh, God.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Have a wonderful day, everybody.
See you next time.